I think Authorgraph might best be described as a cockroach because it's a startup that can't be killed. So Authorgraph is a service that lets authors sign ebooks for their readers. That's the company on the surface, but beyond that, Authorgraph is a service that helps authors engage with their current readers and hopefully discover new ones. Yeah, so I've actually seen pretty good response from the author community for this. There are several thousand authors that are signed up for it. Most of them have signed between, on the low end, just a handful of autographs, on the high end, several thousand autographs. So we have quite an active reader community as well. To date, most of my focus has been on attracting the authors, and I'm now shifting my attention to getting more readers involved in the community. One of the big misconceptions about startups is that you have this kind of world-changing vision, and it's always so like crystal clear, and you just work on that and you just single-minded focus on that vision. But the reality of it is that you have a vague notion about a space, and you think there's some opportunity to innovate there, and you kind of work your way around a little bit before you really sort of hone in on what it is that you can do better or differently than someone else. And even though like I've sort of stayed consistent to my original original feature, the way I think about it has evolved quite a bit. So I understand more where the needs of authors are now. I understand where I can be helpful, and so that's just knowing that my thinking about the idea would evolve. I think it would have been something that I would have liked to know at the beginning. I don't think that I've done a good enough job in proactively reaching out to authors and letting them know about all the ways that I think I can help them. I'm starting to do more of that now, but I think it's a failure in the sense that, you know, I've been working on this for about 1.5 years, coming up on 2 years, and I haven't done more of that yet. So that's probably the biggest failure that I've had. My favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is that I feel like every minute of my day I can spend focusing on the thing that I think is the single most important thing at that time. When I used to work, you know, for someone else, I always felt like I was, or oftentimes I felt like I was working on maybe not the most important thing, but by definition as an entrepreneur, your day is structured such that the single most important thing is what you take care of first. And so I really like feeling like I'm working on the most important things that I could be doing. I would like Authorgraph to become a central part of the writing process. I think there's a lot of authors that are moving towards digital publishing and self-publishing, and there's a lot that goes into that for them. They're, you know, finding someone to design their covers, someone to edit their book, edit their work, someone to help them market and promote. And I would like Authorgraph to be an essential part of that book writing process, that authors think, hey, I just came out with this new book, I'm going to go get it up on Authorgraph so that I can interact with my readers in that way. In some senses, I'm starting to see some of that success already in that all of the interactions that I've had with authors have just been so overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I guess, you know, success looks like more of the same from that perspective. It also looks like, I think success also looks like, right now I do one very specific thing for authors, and I think there's opportunities to provide even more services for them. So that's another sort of definition of success, or another way to get there. Sounders, although I'm willing to be convinced about the sonics. It's okay to not know exactly what you're doing, but just to be thinking about a space and iterating and working on ideas in that space. Like, I think that's okay. Like, I think a lot of people may get caught up. They may not start startups because they're like, oh, I don't have that sort of crystal clear vision, that world-changing idea. And I guess what I'm saying is that it's okay. I think that's how most things start. Most things start with like, hey, here's a really tiny idea, or here's a really tiny feature that I can build that I think is useful and cool and interesting, and that's good enough. Like, start with that, and you can expand outwards instead of trying to find this massive, huge vision and then figuring out where to start. I think starting with the kernel and going outwards is much more will be much more fruitful. It would probably be something like your favorite neighborhood restaurant, a place where you can go where you always get good food at good value. They probably recognize you and greet you when you come in, and you just know that you're going to get a really, really good experience, really comfortable, familiar experience.